Hello and welcome to Talking Music, where every song has a story. My name's Paul, and on this channel we like to get behind the story of a song, come up with some interesting facts and information and secrets about the song in question. And today's featured song is Elvis's Are You Lonesome Tonight? Now, this was a big change of direction for the King. It was an old song written in 1926 by Roy Turk and Lou Handman, who used the line, "All the world's a stage," from Shakespeare's As You Like It. Elvis's career began like a skyrocket, but he faced the draft in March 1958 and served in the US Army until March of 1960. Going in, without doubt, he was one of the most famous names in the world, and prior to serving, he had recorded a chunk of material, and its aim was to keep him in the charts whilst he was away. Songs like Hard-Headed Woman, King Creole, One Night, A Fool Such As I, and A Big Hunk of Love, and they all did their job. They kept his name high up in the charts for 2 years. When he left the army, he was back in the recording studio within the week, and with a follow-up session some 10 days later. During the selection of material for Elvis to record after leaving the army, his manager, Col.Tom Parker, suggested Are You Lonesome Tonight, as it was a particular favourite of his wife Marie. It was the only time he ever intervened into the choice of music Elvis made, and it certainly marked a distinct change to his previous rock and roll material. The priority on these 2 studio sessions after Elvis leaving the army was to record an album, and the album was to be called Elvis Is Back. 8 songs in all, including what would be 2 singles, Such a Night and The Girl of My Best Friend. These sessions took place on March the 20th and April the 3rd, 1960. Once the album was finished, Elvis then began to consider Are You Lonesome Tonight? And that shows more than a little about the manager-artist relationship between Tom Parker and Elvis Presley, because the song was finished at 4 a.m. April the 4th at the RCA studios in Nashville, Tennessee. He, along with his band, guitarist Scotty Moore, DJ Fontana on drums, Floyd Kramer on piano, along with his backing singers, the Jordanaires, worked an overnight session to complete the song. So Elvis and the rest of his gang were certainly putting themselves out. Elvis had difficulty with Are You Lonesome Tonight, with the spoken bridge of the song. This could very well be because he'd had a long working day and probably needed a good night's sleep. At one point he said to producers Steve Scholes and Chet Atkins to throw the song out because he couldn't do it justice. Elvis, doubting his talent maybe? Well, it had been a long time since he'd been in a studio, and it had been a long day and night, and things like this would take a toll. But hey, this is Elvis we're talking about here. Steve Scholes asked Elvis to do another take, using an excuse that one of the Jordanaires had knocked the microphone during the previous take. Elvis could have said, well, get them to do it again when I'm gone. But he didn't. He wanted to finish the song, particularly for his manager, but he wanted reassurances. There was a kind of unwritten language going on here. Elvis needed to get back slower into the recording groove. He'd not spoken on a record before, and he felt a little conscious about it. And at the back of his mind was, now I'm actually back, will I still be wanted? Yep, it seems like Elvis was a little insecure. The others in the studio had sensed this, and Scholes particularly steered Elvis around. The final take on the song, the master take for the single, had the spoken bridge of the song performed with all the lights out in the studio. A number of people not essential to the recording of the song were also asked to leave while Elvis struggled to do his thing. It's why the song was finished during the small hours of the night. The spoken section of the song describes the boy-girl relationship in terms of a play. Act 1, the couple fall in love. Act 2, something starts to go wrong, and her love for him dries up, and he's left on an empty stage wondering when the curtain will fall. As you can see, it's more than just a spoken line or two. It's almost like a monologue, and unusual in songs for the time. But unusuality sets a thing apart, gives it standout. And for Elvis, this was different. It was country pop, and there were more songs with the country pop sound to come out of Nashville by Elvis, like Crying in the Chapel. But Are You Lonesome Tonight and The Girl of My Best Friend, recorded in the same session, were quick to make their mark. In retrospect, Elvis welcomed this change of direction. He saw it as a way to broaden his musical horizons, get out of his comfort zone and adapt different styles. And it worked well. It was a transatlantic #1. Here's a look at the US Billboard chart for November 28th, 1960. It took 2 weeks to get there, in at 35, then #2, then top for 6 weeks, making it the Christmas and New Year #1 in America for 1960. It absolutely raced up the charts. But it's not ranked in Billboard's Top 100 of the year this year, which is, I would suggest, an oversight. It was ranked at 96 for the chart of 1961 in America, where record sales for 1960 were not taken into account, and this of course would include 5 of its 6 weeks at #1. Very strange. But in 1983, though, the single was certified platinum in America, with 2 million record sales recorded. In the UK charts, again it went to the top. It was released a few weeks later in the United Kingdom, but in at #2, next week at #1, then 4 weeks on top. And it finished up being the 18th bestseller of the year for 1961. Runaway Del Shannon was the bestseller that year. In fact, 1961 was a great year in the UK charts for Elvis. He had 4 #1s. The others were Wooden Heart, His Latest Flame, and Surrender. And all of these on the back of his biggest ever hit, It's Now or Never, in late 1960. He came back out of the army stronger than ever, I'd say. Are You Lonesome Tonight also earned Elvis 2 Grammy nominations. Best Performance for a Pop Single and Best Vocal Performance, but he was beaten both times by Ray Charles with Georgia on My Mind. Even though Elvis had problems with the spoken section of Are You Lonesome Tonight, which, let's face it, was the major part of the song itself, he also had fun with it too. Performing in Las Vegas in 1969, he switched the line, "Do you gaze at your doorstep and picture me there," to "Do you gaze at your bald head and wish you had hair?" And then he laughs through the rest of the song. You got a fit of the giggles. I wonder. Incidentally, the female backing singer on stage is Cissy Houston, mother of Whitney, and this version is known as the laughing version. Had Are You Lonesome Tonight not been released as a single in America in the November of 1960, then it might be we'd associate the song with someone different altogether. Connie Francis had been listening to Al Jolson's version of the song and had decided to record it with a view to it becoming her next single. Don Costa had made the arrangement, and Connie was actually driving to New York on her way to the studios to record the song when Elvis's new single, Are You Lonesome Tonight, came on the radio. Connie did record the song, but it remained an album track, and the arrangement actually is very similar to Elvis's, which in turn was similar to the Al Jolson version. If Elvis had ever thought things might not be the same after he returned from the army, then he couldn't have been more wrong. 1960 gave him It's Now or Never, his biggest ever hit, and the albums and singles came thick and fast over the next few years. Are You Lonesome Tonight took Elvis out of his comfort zone and had music commentators saying things like, he's done it again, when it came to originality and creativity. Though, strictly speaking, it wasn't original. It certainly added to the King's golden touch. Are You Lonesome Tonight? Elvis Presley. And that's it for another talking music video where every song has a story. Please subscribe to the channel. All you need to do is click the subscribe button on the video now. It's absolutely free, of course. And we have many, many more videos of various well-known songs where we get behind the story of the song and dish the secret. So just click the subscribe button and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. So till that time, I do wish you well. Bye-bye.